Fame, Galileo, and Jeremy Renner are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is January 7th, 2022. It is the 7th day of the year, the first Friday in the second week, and there are 37 days until the Super Bowl and 38 days until Valentine's Day. Today is National Tempura Day. I think I pronounced that right. I've heard it pronounced tempura, but I also know a Japanese lady that pronounces it way different. Anyway, on January 7th, National Tempura Day encourages us to celebrate with a dish made from tempura batter. This Japanese fare, as they say, includes either seafood or vegetables dipped in batter and deep fried. Almost like you're living in Arkansas. This wasn't originally a Japanese thing. In 1549, Portuguese sailors arrived in Japan and introduced a way of battering and frying food. Now it's been kind of added to the culture. All right, let's see what else January 7th has given us. 1608. Fire destroys Jamestown, Virginia. The entire city, too, just to the ground. Not like it was a giant city at the time, but still. 1610, Galileo makes the first observation of 4 Galilean moons that are in orbit around Jupiter. He actually found the first 2 on today, January 7th, and on January 8th, he found the other 2 because he didn't see them with his telescope, and then he went back to check his work and to make sure he was actually seeing these moons, and then he's like, holy crap, there's 2 more. I got 4 moons. 1714, Henry Mill patents the first typewriter. Mill, an English inventor and waterworks engineer, submitted 2 patents in his life, one of them being the machine for impressing or transcribing letters. The typewriter would not actually be built until the 19th century. His other invention was a carriage spring. So this is a dude who was getting cramps in his hand from writing so many letters, and I figure the carriage spring came because he lived on a bumpy road or something. You know what they say, bruises on your butt are the mother of invention. 1782, the first American commercial bank, the Bank of North America, opens. 1920, the New York State Assembly refuses to seat 5 duly elected socialist assemblymen. Yeah, they were socialists, and they decided even though you won, you're not getting your seat. 1927, the first transatlantic telephone service is established from New York City to London. And I imagine you can call from London to New York City, too. I've never heard of a telephone service that goes one direction. 1929, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century debuts as the first science fiction comic strip in a newspaper. Buck Rogers goes on to be featured in radio plays, TV programs, and full-length movies. They had that one in the 80s that was just kind of weird. It was a strange movie. I mean, it was good. I think I've watched it a couple times. But yeah, it was kind of weird. I don't know if it was a musical or what was going on with that. 1948, Kentucky Air National Guard pilot Thomas Mantle crashes while in pursuit of a supposed UFO. So on January 7th, 1948, around 2 in the afternoon, Goodman Army Airfield at Fort Knox, Kentucky, received reports from the Kentucky Highway Patrol that they had been getting reports to their office of people seeing this round object that was flying above Owensboro, Kentucky, Irvington, Madisonville, and a few other places. Then they started getting calls from Ohio, too, that they'd seen this object up in the sky. Goodman Army Airfield at the time had 4 F-51D Mustangs from the 165th Airborne Squadron of the Kentucky Air National Guard. They were already in the air doing other things, and they were told to go check this out. On the way to the sightings, one of the Mustangs had to turn back around because he was low on fuel, and the other 2 accompanied Captain Mantle to check out the sighting. Well, they get to the area and they actually see this thing, but it was either too far away or too small for them to identify it. So this thing was going straight up, and the pilots started following it to see if they could get closer, really get a good eye on what it was. Well, there was some discussion over the radio, and they decided that they would level out and just, try and get a better view of it another way, take their time. But for some reason, Captain Mantle decided he was going to keep going straight up after this thing. For the time, even though P-51 was a propeller plane, it's not a jet or anything like that, it had a good climb rate. This thing could go up. A lot of the other planes of the day would start stalling if they were going too vertical, but this one was doing pretty good. Now that kind of becomes a problem because once Mantle passed 25,000 feet, he blacked out from lack of oxygen, so his plane just starts spinning towards the ground. People on the ground said they could see him just coming down in a circle, lower and lower and lower, and he finally crashed on a farm near the Tennessee border. Of course, at the time, science fiction and outer space stuff and Soviets were the topics fueling the rumor mill of 1948 America. Some say it was a missile from Russia, others say it was an alien and they actually hit him with a beam and killed him and that's why his plane went out of control. Just all the rumors went around. They did an investigation and years later they released that Captain Mantle was probably chasing after a thing called a skyhook balloon. It was part of the United States Air Force Project Blue Book, which was all top secret at the time, and Captain Mantle probably didn't know what he was chasing. Now, ufologists, or whatever they want to call themselves, think this is just military secret garbage, that this was actually an alien thing and it wasn't a balloon, but it probably was a balloon. 1954, Georgetown Ibm Experiment, the first public demonstration of a machine translation system, is held in New York at the head office of IBM. 2012, a hot air balloon crashes in New Zealand, killing all 11 people on board. That sucks. I'm not a big fan of hot air balloons. They just, I don't know, there's no wings. There's no, if the thing blows up or the balloon burns or something weird happens, you're going down. And you're going down hard. I just never got the whole hot air balloon fascination. 2020, a 6.4 magnitude earthquake hits Puerto Rico, kills 4 and injures 9. This, of course, happened while they were still dealing with the hurricane damage they'd had from 3 years earlier. Premiered on January 7th, 1982. Fame. That was that dancing kids in college at a art school program. This was all the rage back in the early to mid 80s. The show follows the lives of the artistically talented students of a New York City high school for the performing arts. This show had Nia Peoples in it, and she was gorgeous back in the 80s. I looked her up because she hadn't done anything in years as far as I knew, and she's 60 now. She still looks like she's about 30. Born on January 7th, 1971, Jeremy Renner. If you don't know who he is, he plays Hawkeye on the Avengers movies. He was also in The Hurt Locker, which was a great movie. He was in The Bourne Legacy, which there's like 4 movies, The Bourne Supremacy and all that. Matt Damon played in 3 of them. Jeremy Renner played in 1 of them. That one, I think, was one of the best 2 of the 4. I've never met him, but I always get the vibe he's like a pretty mellow dude, like a decent guy. Died on January 7th, 2021. Just last year, we lost Tommy Lasorda. He was a Major League Baseball manager who led the Los Angeles Dodgers to World Series titles in 1981 and 1988. He was twice named National League Manager of the Year and was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1997. He actually started off with the Dodgers. He was a player for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Yeah, and then he went on to the Kansas City Athletics. But nobody remembers that. They just remember his managing days of the Dodgers. He was like an icon of Los Angeles for a lot of years. The Dodgers retired his jersey number 2. No Dodger will ever be number 2 again. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, be nice to each other.